I don't like the conditions, right? I think we should be able to freely play where we want and have the choice to play where we want and not be dictated what we do, especially myself, right? I can't speak for others, that'll be myself. They're asking me to play a minimum of 6 events, and they dictate where 2 of those have to be.
Why this U.S. Open could be the final major for 13 LIV golfers, Shinnecock Hills. Friday afternoon, the leaderboard says Wyndham Clark, 7 under, nobody from LIV anywhere close to him. Out across that brutal Long Island layout, 13 players are grinding through a major most of them fought for years just to reach. And right now, almost none of them are playing like it matters as much as it actually does. Because this isn't just a rough couple of rounds. It's the worst possible week for it to happen. The league these 13 players signed with is dying in real time, and this tournament was supposed to be their proof of life. The moment they reminded everyone watching exactly why they were worth all that money in the first place. To understand how we got here, you have to go back to 2021. Saudi Arabia's public investment fund launches LIV Golf with a pitch that was almost too simple to believe. Leave the PGA Tour. Get paid more than golf has ever paid anyone. Play a shortened schedule, no cut line, guaranteed money whether you finish first or finish dead last. And the names that signed were not journeymen. Jon Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau, Brooks Koepka, Dustin Johnson, Cameron Smith, major champions, walking away from the tour that built their careers for numbers that rewrote what a professional golfer was even worth. Rahm's deal alone reportedly carried 9 figures. More than $5 billion has poured out of the PIF into LIV since it launched, and that number is expected to cross $6 billion by the end of this year. But here's what almost nobody explained clearly enough when the ink was drying on those contracts. The majors do not care about LIV prize money. They care about one number, the official World Golf Ranking. And for years, LIV events were worth 0 ranking points. 0. You could win every single week in front of a packed grandstand and your world ranking would just sit there and quietly rot. Rahm, a former world number 1, slid all the way down the rankings. Up-and-coming LIV signings found themselves stuck outside the top 100, locked out of qualifying for the tournaments that actually define a career. The math behind the majors simply refused to count a single shot these guys were hitting. The U.S. Open eventually blinked. The USGA built the first direct pathway for LIV players into a major championship, awarding an exemption to the leading player in LIV standings who wasn't otherwise already in the field. It's the only reason a chunk of this 13-man group is even at Shinnecock this week. Without that exemption, several of these careers simply don't have a route back into major championship golf at all. And that's what makes some of these stories worth sitting with. Caleb Surratt survived a brutal 6-man playoff just to lock up his first ever major start. Think about that. A professional golfer fighting through a sudden death playoff not for a trophy, but just for the right to tee it up at a major for the first time in his career. And then there's Graham McDowell, a U.S. Open champion who went years without playing in a major at all, finally clawing his way back through LIV standings. He said it plainly walking into Shinnecock this week. I've missed the majors, and I don't think I understood how much I missed it until I managed to qualify for Shinnecock. That's not a guy chasing a paycheck. That's a guy who lost something he didn't realize how much he needed and just got a piece of it back. Then, in April of this year, the ground cracked wide open. The Public Investment Fund announced it is done. Full stop. LIV Golf will only be funded through the end of this 2026 season. The financial engine that built this entire league is being switched off at the source. LIV's CEO, Scott O'Neill, went on CNBC just weeks ago and didn't sugarcoat it. The clock's obviously ticking, he said. While we have incredible business momentum, what we don't have is a lot of time. We have to get this done through the summer. He's reportedly chasing somewhere around $350 million in new investment just to keep the league's lights on into 2027. One scheduled event already got postponed. The PIF's own governor stepped down as chairman of LIV's board, and the league scrambled to stand up an entirely new independent board in his place. Now watch who's already moving, because the smart money inside this locker room has been quietly relocating for months. Brooks Koepka already left LIV behind and rejoined the PGA Tour through its returning member pathway. Patrick Reed didn't even bother re-signing for this LIV season. He's been playing his way back through the DP World Tour instead, working off a suspension tied to his last LIV start, with a path toward full PGA Tour reinstatement waiting for him in 2027. These guys read the writing on the wall early and started building an exit before the building was actually on fire. Meanwhile, some of the league's biggest stars made the opposite bet. DeChambeau, Rahm, and Cameron Smith all stayed. All three were reportedly offered a path back to the PGA Tour earlier this year, and all three said no. They're betting that LIV survives, that the funding gets sorted out, that nothing about their situation actually has to change. It's a bold bet, and right now, it does not look like a safe one. Because here's the problem with staying. Reports out of the PGA Tour suggest the door these other players walked through might not stay open much longer. The returning member program that brought Koepka home isn't expected to be renewed. Even the one-year suspension route that's clearing a path for Reed may not be offered to the next wave of players trying to get out. If LIV folds, or even just shrinks dramatically heading into 2027, some of these 13 players may not have a soft landing waiting for them anywhere. So you'd think, given all of that, this was the week to show up loud, prove the doubters wrong, remind every investor watching exactly why this league was worth $6 billion in the first place. Instead, the opposite is happening, LIV, right now. After Friday's round at Shinnecock, every single player sitting inside the top 21 on the leaderboard plays somewhere other than LIV. Not one. DeChambeau, a two-time U.S. Open champion on this exact list of accomplishments, carded back-to-back double bogeys on Friday and is fighting just to survive the cut line. And almost eerily, he admitted weeks ago, before any of this happened, that he might miss all 4 major cuts this year. Like some part of him already saw it coming. This was supposed to be the moment LIV's stars proved the product still matters at the highest level, at the exact moment investors are deciding whether to save it. Instead, the silence on that leaderboard is doing more damage than any headline could. Not every story in this field is fading, though. Jon Rahm comes into this week as LIV's reigning points leader, fresh off wins in Hong Kong and Mexico City, and a string of top 10 finishes that have him playing some of the best golf of his career. If anyone in this group is going to flip the script before Sunday, the smart money says it's him. But step back and look at the bigger picture for a second. 13 players. A league with a funding clock running out in months, not years. Some of them already planning their exit, others doubling down on a bet that's looking shakier by the hour. And right in the middle of all of it, a golf course at Shinnecock Hills that does not care about any of it. It just punishes mistakes, round after round, no matter how much money is riding on the outcome. So here's the real question. Is this the week 13 careers quietly start their final countdown, watching the bill for a 5-year experiment finally come due in real time? Or is one rough Friday about to turn into the most motivated final round some of these guys have played in years? Tell me where you land. Drop your pick in the comments, and let's see who's right by Sunday.